Again, 6.4, a nice letter of thank you to the Moffett Fund and indirectly us from the Rainy Lake Air Cadet Squadron. They're a very classy bunch, and they always send a thank you letter. For item 6.5, this is a request for support from Lisa Bourgeois, and I'll go to Councillor Bernetta for this one.
Thank you, Your Worship. We did get this in our email, and I asked the clerk to put it on our agenda tonight. I would really like to show the support of our council for this initiative. You can see that in the letter, MPP Bourgeois has indicated a number of communities have already bought into this or indicated their support, but they're all from the east and past Thunder Bay. And I'd really like someone from, you know, this end of Yonge Street to put their support behind it as well. So I'm suggesting that we do the following motion. I'm wanting to move this motion that the town of Fort Frances support MPP Lise Bourgeois' Northern Highways 11 and 17 Safety Act 2025, which promotes the key measures of mandating that scale and inspection stations operate at least 12 hours daily, ensuring the sufficient enforcement of the Highway Traffic Act, guaranteeing that testing of truck drivers for commercial licensing is conducted by examiners certified by the Ministry of Transportation, and restoring management of winter highway maintenance on Highways 1117 to the Ministry of Transportation. And further that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to MPP Greg Rickford, Kenora Rainy River Riding, the NOMA Board, and Minister Prabmeet Sakaria at the Ministry of Transportation.
Thank you for that, Councillor Bernetta. Seconder on that motion, Councillor Morrison. Any further discussion on the motion? Yes, Councillor McTaggart.
I certainly support portions of that, but I don't support the restoring the management of the highways section of that. So I think we're just wasting our time, quite frankly. But the first three, I think, are valid points.
Okay. Any other discussion? Councillor Morrison.
Through the chair, I actually disagree. I believe that since the contracting, I've seen probably like the highway hasn't been as good in the wintertime, I noticed. I know it hasn't been cleaned as much. I know that the drivers are told, I've been told this, that sometimes they're not always scraping down on the blades, and I kind of worry about that. I've seen them going over slush, and it's very dangerous. I don't remember in the past when MTO ran it being so just a lot of accidents lately. It's just heartbreaking to see families affected by all the accidents I see more often.
Thank you for that, Councillor Morrison. Any further discussion? Councillor Bernetta.
Just to follow up, Your Worship, thanks for that. And I sort of feel the same way. I think we're, we won't get far on that particular point. But I know that the NOMA Board has been participating on a Northern Highway Safety Task Force. And this is definitely just a small chunk of the Northern Highways, but it's something that, draws more attention to our area. So.
Thank you, Councillor Bernetta. Further discussion? Calling the question. All in favor? It's carried. Opposed? Okay. The motion carries. Going to 6.6. This is correspondence from the Rainy River District Services Board, and it's simply a synopsis of the meeting highlights, and it's also contained, or something similar is contained in my report as well. So it's just for information. Did anyone want to comment on it? Okay, moving on to 6.7, we're going to go back to Councillor Bernetta.
Thank you again. With the upcoming election, this to me is a very important issue. I personally have not, been harassed or, I think people have been very respectful to me, but I have spoken with many other women in politics who have had to go through a lot. So I think this group really does do a good job at trying to incentivize women to run for politics. So passing this resolution, which I've shared with the clerk, passing this resolution will show people that we value healthy democracy in a safe, inclusive, and respectful environment. So I'd also like to encourage everyone, you may have noticed in the letter, that there is a website where you can sign on and actually sign an online pledge. It's called electrespect.ca. I think with the social media and even the cheers and jeers in the paper, you know, it's really made people think twice about putting their name forward for an election or even an administrative position, because you're definitely always, you know, the ones who are blamed for things. So I hope that you'll all go on and sign the online pledge. And basically, the resolution that I'm proposing is the same as the one that St. Catharines has passed. So beginning with, whereas democracy is healthy when everyone is able to participate fully and safely and contribute to the well-being of their community, all the way down to be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the following. So I don't think I need to read the whole resolution, but I'm hoping that you can support it.
Thank you, Councillor Brunetta. That's a very important one, I think. Any further questions or comments? I'll just make a comment. I have already taken the pledge. And I do think that although we have been fortunate, I think, here with our council, in my moving around the province, I've heard some horror stories where they've actually had to lock doors at council meetings, have a police presence at council meetings. So I think there definitely is a degradation of civility. And so I do think that this is an important resolution. And with that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Oops. And Councillor Mackey seconds. Thank you for that. And now I'll call the question. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, Council. 6.8, I'll speak to this. This is something that I've been working on for a couple of years. We had a setback when the election occurred and the current government decided that it was going to be part of their policy that they were going to cut back on immigration just across the board, which was unfortunate because there are many places in the country where immigration is not only needed, it's essential, and we're one of those areas. So with the election of the new government, I've continued my push for this, and it's not just me pushing alone. I'm in contact with many of the business owners in Fort Frances, and I have to give them credit for their passion, because when I ask them for letters or ask them to come to meetings, they all come. They're very passionate. They're very articulate. Sometimes they bring their foreign-born workers who also are very passionate and articulate. So as recently as a week or so ago, we had a fairly large meeting in Fort Frances. Our MP, Pawlowski, was in town with a staffer. And so I arranged for a meeting in our committee room. And I invited the local business owners, and many of them came out. Again, one of them brought one of their foreign workers, and we met for 2 hours. They spoke eloquently on the economic essentiality of having these workers available. And if they didn't have these workers available, their businesses would have to have fewer hours, or in some cases even close. So it was a real plea. And so our MP got a real earful. He's well aware now of the situation, and he's working, because we're not alone in this. Many of the rural caucuses across the country face the same situation. And so our MP, Pawlowski, is working with those rural caucuses to try and get a voice and bring it to the government to try to get some changes. I could go on and on about this, but I think that's enough. You get the drift. In response to a request for a support letter, I don't think it's necessary, although if council wants me to do one, I will. I've already written several letters. We're on this. We're going to stay on this. In fact, the day after I had the meeting in Fort Frances, RMP wanted to have a meeting of mayors and Reeves and Emo, and I attended that meeting, and the issue came up again there as well. So it's getting good traction in our community. Councillor McTaggart?
No, I understand the need, and certainly as I wander around the community, I see the impact of these folks that are having on businesses positive impact. I wonder if a letter directly from you to the author of this letter, giving a little bit of history of what you've done and what you're continuing to do would be suffice.
Yeah, I've already done that. I responded back to her, and I reported on that meeting. And I just for information, I've been in personal contact with a number of the foreign workers in town. A lot of them have realized that it's an issue I'm passionate about, so they write to me, and I respond to every single one of them. I mean, it's really touching because these people are integral members of our community. They're exactly the type of people that we want to come here. They're hardworking, they're polite, they volunteer, they've joined churches, and they're just a pleasure to know and to work with. So I'm going to stay on this till we can get some sort of action. Anyone else? Questions, comments, directions? Okay. Moving on to 6.9, there's a request for a stop sign at the intersection of Victoria and Front Street. I have noticed an uptick in traffic there. Councillors, would you like to speak to this or comment? I would like to accommodate this, and I'll go to Manager Rob to see if there's anything we should know about this one.
Thank you, through the chair. So a number of years ago, the stop sign that was there was removed around the time that the mill shut down, and the traffic that went into the mill yard along Front Street dropped basically to zero. Upon a brief search, I have not been able to confirm that the traffic control bylaw was ever amended to remove it as a stop-controlled intersection. So should that be the case, it could be just as easy as standing up a new stop sign. Worst case, we'll have to do a new stop sign and an amendment to the traffic control bylaw.
So I'm hearing you say that we can just put the stop sign back? You okay with that, Councillor? Councillor McTaggart?
The request is to allow people to drive straight ahead. There's no left turn allowed there at that intersection. Am I correct in saying that?
Manager Rob?
Thank you, through the chair. So the sign location request would be for your southbound movement on Victoria Avenue, going to eastbound on Front Street.
But leaving the mill property is, through you, Chair, is there a no left turn leaving the mill property heading east?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know if you have further knowledge.
Not to my knowledge either, no.
And how much? 3 questions here, but
I'm going to cut you off. I'm sorry. I got to stick to it. If someone else wants to ask a question, go ahead.
If I may, Your Worship, how many vehicles would actually go through there in a 24-hour period? Councillor McTaggart was going.
Manager Rob?
Volume that would warrant having.
I don't have that information. From my discussions with the requester, the issue has arisen a couple of times where vehicles traveling westbound on Front Street, trying to gain access to that site, have almost collided with vehicles heading south on Victoria Avenue because nobody has any sort of control for those two movements. And that's really the onus on the push for the stop sign.
Any further discussion, Councillor? Yes, Councillor Morrison?
To the chair, I'm suggesting possibly a yield sign, maybe something coming out. I noticed there's some vehicles parked at the warehouse in the old mill stores yard. I think a yield, because the traffic flow is a lot better now. When we get that stop sign, I noticed, I never hardly ever took that way just because they have that stop, but I think a yield would help.
Thank you. Councillor Mackey?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think the issue is, as Mr. Robb suggested, is the westbound traffic on Front Street that would normally make that right-hand turn onto Victoria, but want to go straight into the yard. You got somebody coming south and then making a left to go east. And they've got the throughway, and the guy cutting across to go into the yard is where the accident is going to happen. And so having a yield coming off of the wood yard onto Front Street is a moot point because that's not the issue. It's the southbound traffic on Victoria turning onto Front Street that should be yielding to westbound traffic, is what I'm believing Travis Robb said.
Thank you for that. Further discussion? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. I'm thinking too, maybe the volume isn't there now, but if they're developing this site and this property, maybe the traffic will increase later on. So we have to be wary of the future and what future needs are. So I'm not against a stop sign.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons they requested this. Any further discussion? So we don't really need a motion because we can just put the stop sign back, but I just kind of a consensus. How many people are in favor of putting the stop sign back? Show of hands. Yeah, I am as well. So put the stop sign back unless we hear something from the province. 417, pardon, 6.10, which is correspondence number 417. This Empower to Recover community partner, they were here last year. They sent us a packet. We've agreed again, as we did last year, it's a good cause to raise their flag, and we will issue a proclamation. And that's what we did last year. Does anyone want to speak to this, Councillor Behan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Did we not make a donation as well last year? But I certainly don't, the package that they gave us, I don't think it's in our realm to appeal to that or to acquiesce to that. But if we did a $500 or $250 we put towards their dinner or something without the actual levels of sponsorship that they have listed in their package.
Yeah, I don't recall making a donation last year, but I'll go to our treasurer, who will recall.
Yes, we did make a $500 donation last year.
Okay, so is that your wish? You're proposing that we donate?
I think we can donate something. I'm not saying, we certainly can't do the 2,000, but 500, 250, whatever council will council.
Would you-
I could see us doing some monetary donation.
Want to name a number?
300.
Okay. Council, are you in favor of donating 300? I'm getting nods, so would you like to make a motion that we donate 300?
I make a motion that we donate $300 to the Empower to Recover event here in Fort Brant.
Okay, second on that? Councillor Morrison? All in favor? Carried. No one is opposed to that. And the last item was a letter for a request for a pop collection. It's not something the town really does. So I'm thinking we could accept this as information and send a nice thank you letter for the concern, unless council prefers to do something else. I'm seeing not, so we'll send a letter of thanks. On to item 7, council reports on board and committee activity. I have a rather lengthy report, but in the interest of the length of this meeting, it's there for your reading pleasure. If anybody has questions at some point about anything I've talked about, just give me a shout. I believe Councillor Firth has no report, Councillor Mackey has no report, and Councillor McTaggart has no report this time as well. So moving on to the consent agenda. We have, I believe, 6 of them tonight, starting at 8.2. These are regular council meeting minutes. Recommendation reads, the council approve the regular council meeting minutes of July 14th, 2025 is presented. 8.3 moves on to boards and committee meeting minutes. The recommendation reads that the following boards and committee meeting minutes be received as information. 1, the BIA minutes from June 11, 2025, the Committee of Adjustment minutes from March 19, 2025, and the Committee of Adjustment minutes from June 18, 2025. 8.4 is a capital update, and the recommendation reads that council receive report AR-25-0865 as information. 8.5 is the Q2 progress report. Again, the recommendation is that council receive report number AR-25-0864 titled Q2 progress report as information. 8.6 deals with the strong mayor powers. And that's it. Would you like any of those pulled? Councilor McTaggart.
8.4, please.
Pardon me, I'm sorry, did
8.4?
Okay, 8.4. Anybody else? Any other issues to be pulled, Councilor Behan?
I was also going to pull 8.4. Thank you.
You're also pulling 8.4? 8.4. Councilor Brunella?
8.4.
Okay, 3 for 8.4. Anything else? Thank you. So we'll go to you, Councilor McTaggart, on 8.4.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to Mr. Rob. Thank you very much for this report. There's a lot going on this summer, and we appreciate all the effort going into it. My question is to you, are you happy with the progress of the projects on 3rd Street West and Scott Street reconstructions?
Manager Rob.
Thank you through the chair. Both projects, in their own right, have had delays. Just due to various different constraints. The effluent lines on 3rd Street did pose a fairly substantial challenge for the start of that project. Scott Street, we did have a work stoppage due to an unknown oil tank that was found within our excavation. So, not to discredit the extra work that has to happen for things like that come up in these types of jobs, but overall, neither project is as far along as I was hoping that they would be at this point in time. That said, the contractor continues to work their regular shift rotation, and they're working as quickly and diligently as they can to work towards the completion of both projects.
Follow up, Councilor McTaggart. Councilor Bien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to talk about the natatorium renovation, the pool. Tough word to say. And again, this seems like it's the second one we've had to do now. I think was it decking? Was it last year we had a problem when they did the pool repairs, and now it's the liner and coatings. So I guess I'm just concerned that the pool renovation has been fairly recent, new, but here we are having problems already. So I guess my first question is this something that's on our bill, or it's something that the contractor will have to take care of because it's faulty material or whatever the problem is? Thank you.
Manager Rob.
Thank you through the chair. So in regards to the liner of the pool, I've sent a number of pictures off to the subcontractor that did not only the lining but the coating as well. They're working with their suppliers to look at the pictures, try and understand what is going on and why, and what the remedial work will look like. At this point in time, it sounds like it'll be a warranty claim for this work.
Thank you. Follow up.
And then your report says you're still coordinated, but do you have any more information since the report was written about when the pool might close and for how long?
Manager Rob.
At this point, I do not. I spoke with them again this afternoon, but I have no more firm information.
Thank you both. Councilor Brunella.
Same question on the natatorium. Very concerning, particularly given what we went through with the last closure. Has there been any consideration regarding, again, giving rebates to people if we're closed for any length of time? I know we agreed to do that last time, and I'm really hoping that it doesn't come down to a lengthy closure, but I'm sure you're not too sure.
Manager Rob.
Thank you through the chair. At this point in time, we don't know when the closure will be or for how long it will be. So I'm working with the Rec and Culture crew to try and figure out the best opportune time to do that. Of course, there's no perfect time to do it, but working around programs that are happening in the pool to try and minimize the disruption as much as we can. But at this point in time, I unfortunately don't have any more information on when and for how long.
Thank you. Follow up. With that, then, I have a recommendation. The council approve the consent agenda as follows. Agenda items 8.2, 8.3, 8.5, and 8.6. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Councilor McTaggart, Councilor Morrison. Calling the question, all in favor? It's carried, no one is opposed. And then going back to 8.4. Oh yeah, here it is. Too many reports here. Recommendation that council receive report AR-25-0865 as information. Mover and seconder on that, please. Councillor Behan, Councillor Bernetta seconds. Calling the question, all in favor? And that's carried. No one was opposed, and thank you. Okay. Moving to item number 9, Administration and Finance Division reports. Put a resolution on the floor, 9.1. Recommendation reads that council direct administration to begin the recruitment process for an interim fire chief, and that upon successful recruitment, a bylaw is brought forward to a future meeting of council to be signed by the mayor and clerk and confirmed by confirming the appointment. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor McTaggart, Councillor Behan. Councillors, questions, comments? Councillor Behan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in reading this, back in May, we decided to go with appointing our CAO as the fire chief. So what's changed? And reading your report, does it sound like it's a bigger workload than you anticipated? It's too broad or vaster, and you need more expertise now at this stage of the game? Is that why we're looking at doing this option? Thank you.
Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think it's just a combination. We're in a unique situation, obviously looking to hire an interim fire chief and not a permanent fire chief. And I think, I forget what I said in April, but I'm not the long-term solution for the fire chief. So I think it was assessing the departmental needs and knowing that without any other resolution, I think the long-term interim approach is better suited for someone other than me. So this was an opportunity to bridge that gap, assess, and then take some time and bring in somebody else. So not a lot has changed, but at the same time, nothing has changed, meaning we have to do something more permanent. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McTaggart.
Through you, how long do you expect this process may take?
Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll take our time with this. We're in constant contact with the captains. I think things are manageable at this time, but our goal, we won't expedite it, but at the same time, I would suspect somewhere between 4 to 8 weeks at most, we should have someone in place.
Okay, further questions? Councillor Bernetta.
It's not so much a question, but maybe a procedural question. I know that we do have a related item in camera, and I'm wondering if discussion at that time will affect the outcome of this resolution. So I'm wondering if we could delay or defer this resolution until after the in-camera session.
Well, that's a dicey procedural. I will say that the item that's in camera is for information only and not for discussion, and it shouldn't have any bearing on this one. So unless council directs me otherwise, I'm going to call the question on this. Not seeing any other direction. So calling the question on this one. Councilor Morrison?
Through the chair to the CEO, if we promote somebody internally for the time being, would we have to replace that, like if they're a full-time worker while they're into that situation? And how would that work if we promote it internally?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. More than likely, we would have to fill that in, but that would be in negotiation with the union to see, the term of the contract, what we would have to do, what the conditions of this individual who would be filling in on the back end. So those are the preliminary conversations we're having of the timing of this, and the length will have an impact, and that wouldn't move forward, obviously, without the blessing or in cooperation with the union. So I hope that helps in some clarity that we'll navigate through that depending on those conditions of term and length.
Thank you for that question and answer. Further questions? Oh, go ahead. Councilor Mackey?
Worship to our CEO. How long are we expecting to have an interim fire chief, period? Whether it's you or somebody else taking over the position. Is this for a few more months, 6 months, a year, or like what can we expect from this?
Mr. CAO?
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess my best answer is there's no timeline. So I can't say with any accuracy whether it would be 1 month or 20 months. That's the challenging part of hiring an interim at this time, that it is case by case. That's why when we do move forward, and previously we had a contract, there was an out clause with the contract to say the length. So not the most ideal situation to be in, but I'm incapable of giving a specific time based on the information that I have or administration has at this time.
Thank you again for question and answer. Further questions? Yes, Councillor Bien?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I'm just thinking here, the recommendation is to recruit for an interim fire chief, both internally and externally. So that wouldn't preclude an internal candidate from being successful if that's the way we decide to go. So that wouldn't necessarily mean that we'd have to replace them. That would mean we'd have to replace them anyway. So I don't know if that's a difference, but I think is it for due diligence that we want them expanded both externally and internally rather than just appoint internally? Is that the reason why you're recommending option one?
Mr. CAO?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think we're just looking at the flexibility for it. I hope that answers. I'm not sure I totally understand, but we just want the flexibility of appointing internally or externally. That helps.
Yep. Anything else? Okay. Calling the question. All in favor? It's carried. No one was opposed. Thank you. Moving on to 9.2, deals with a potential youth counselor. The resolution on the floor that council direct administration to draft a youth counselor policy for consideration, and that the procedural bylaw be brought back with suggested amendments integrating in a student counselor position, and that council direct administration to bring a 1-year report to Q3 of 2026 with draft terms of reference for a youth council for consideration of the committee bylaw amendment. Can I get a mover and seconder on this, please? Councillor Bernetta and Councillor Firth. Okay, councillors, questions, comments? Councillor Morrison.
Through the chair, Your Worship. I just want to commend young Paxton here. He's sure been getting involved, and I see his name a lot, and I see him even in the flag raising and stuff here, and just want to commend you on that. And it's awesome to see youth getting involved like himself. Thank you.
Councillor Bernetta.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think this is great. I've been looking forward to having a youth member on council for a long time. I'd be happy to contact Mayor Dumas and Marathon. They've had youth counselors for many years, and they have all the policies in place and things. So I can ask him to forward their information to the clerk.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Through the chair, actually today another member of administration forwarded me that exact policy, and it's likely the one I'll be working off of.
Further questions or comments? Councillor McTaggart.
Thank you. I quite support this motion, and I think it has a great opportunities. I noticed that we're offered two different possibilities of a youth counselor and a youth council. I would really like us to go the youth counselor route first. Try that, see how it works, and that youth counselor may then come back with a recommendation for a youth council or progress. But let's go in baby steps with this for now and just go with the youth counselor and try that method first.
And you're right on, Councillor McTaggart. That was the intent of this, that we try it for a year with a youth counselor, and then at the end of a year, look and see if there's appetite for a youth council. Yes, Councillor Bien.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. So that means we, Councillor McTaggart, in favor of option 2, to stay with youth council only, not consider a youth council at this time. So we'd amended to take out that last line. So we're asking to amend you're asking to amend the motion to withdraw the last line, struck out, current one. I mean, we need an amendment.
So point of clarification, Councillor McTaggart. Councillor Bien is asking, are you suggesting we take out the third line of the resolution? Bearing in mind that nothing would happen with that until a year, and only then a report would come forward.
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, take out that line?
Yeah, with the youth, referring to youth council.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's we'll need to get a mover and seconder on that. So we're amending this resolution by deletion. Councilor McTaggart, you're moving that we remove the third line. I need a second on that. Councilor Firth. Okay, so voting on the resolution, pardon me, on the amendment to the resolution to remove the third line, all in favor? That's carried. So that third line is deleted, and the resolution now reads the first two lines that you have in front of you. That's already been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that? Councilor Bernetta?
I'm just wondering if there's any way we'd be able to begin this in the fall so that the 1 year would be from September of 25 to September of 26 or October. Just because I'd like to participate in that in case I'm not on the next council. Purely selfish.
We expect you to be on the next council, but that's another matter. You want to speak to that, Madam Clerk?
Through the chair, we did get some interest in a student counselor position, which is why we decided to expedite this. So we'll look to have the policy come forward at the first meeting of September, with voting to take place at the second meeting of September, as we need that notice to the public, especially for the procedural bylaw. And then we could start recruiting soon after for the person to start October, November, which would bring them to the final term of council. Thanks.
And that's acceptable to you? Okay, we don't need to do anything more with that. That's covered. Anything else? Oh, Councilor McTaggart?
Just a point of reference, Red Lake is also doing this, so that may be another source of information if you need.
Yeah, thank you for that. Anything else before I call the question? Calling the question, all in favor? It's carried, and no one was opposed. Okay, 9.3 deals with the fast food truck. And the recommendation reads that Council accept report AR-25-0861 titled Food Truck Fast Track Pilot as information, and the Council agreed to the user bylaw amendment implementing new pricing for the pilot project. Could I get a mover and seconder on this one, please? Councilor Bernetta, I believe, and Councilor Firth. Any questions or comments, councilors? Councilor McTaggart?
Just a point of clarification on page 4 of the report, what is the definition of a food truck? This is a food truck is a motorized vehicle. So if someone pulls a trailer and leaves the trailer there behind a motorized vehicle, is that a food truck?
That's a good question. Who wants to take a stab at this? Oh, Madam Clerk.
Through the chair, I wrote the report looking at certain bylaws before I finally made my decision, which was to include trailers. So in the bylaw itself, I did give a more fulsome definition, which included trailers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any other questions or comments? That was a good question, Councilor McTaggart. Councilor Mackey.
Thank you, Your Worship. Looking at the definition then, if we're talking mobile food trucks, vehicles, it precludes ice cream vendors, portable barbecues, like used to set up in front of the old Rainy Lake at bar closing. They're all selling food items, which is under the definition and the Ontario regulations is included. So are we creating our own definition of what a mobile food vehicle is for our bylaws?
Madam Clerk.
Through the chair, I can absolutely change it to what the Ontario regulation says. I did use this from another municipality bylaw. But if it's council's will, I can make that change.
Councilor Mackey, would you like to see that change made?
No, I'm not suggesting that, because then it just it opens it up to everything being regulated, and personally we regulate the world to death here. Just as soon see us not get deeper into it. So no, I'm not asking for that.
Okay, thank you. Further questions, comments? Calling the question then. All in favor? Oh, sorry. You had another one? Sorry.
I'm sorry. Looking at the fee structure, the annual fee, the longest you can get was 20 weeks, 140 days. Is it, I thought that we were also offering like a yearly permit.
Madam Clerk.
Through the chair, we'll be making no changes to the annual fee, which is why we didn't need to amend the bylaw to include the annual. So it's already existing as $235.10 annually.
You're okay with that, Councillor Mackey?
Well, if I'm looking on page 2 and you're looking under new mobile food truck vendor process and your options for length of time, you've got 1 to 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, 20 weeks, and 1 year, but I don't see pricing. Is that the $235 then? And I don't see a breakdown for the other terms there. Am I missing it? On
Madam Clerk.
Through the chair, Councillor Mackey, what page were you looking at?
looking at page 2. On page 2. I don't see price. $20.
Councillor McTaggart?
If we go to bylaws, in the bylaw.
Yes.
It's the fee schedules in the bylaw. So if you go on to bylaws, and 81-24B, 50-25 is the number. And the fee schedule's in there.
Yeah, she's got the bylaw open, it's all there. Any further questions? Calling the question then, all in favor? That's carried. Opposed. Okay, moving on to item number 10, Community Service Division reports. There are none. Item 11 is Planning and Development Division reports. Have one. Resolution reads, the council approval of report AR-25-0866 agree with the recommendation of administration to establish an ad hoc committee for the purpose of planning and developing a municipal off-leash dog park, and that the committee be established under the terms of reference attached to this report, and further that appointment of the members to the committee and establishment of the terms of reference for the committee be through an amendment to bylaw 90-23 at a subsequent council meeting. Can I get a mover and seconder on this, please? Councillor Firth and Councillor Mackey. Discussion. Councillors? Councillor Bernetta.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Manager Burrows. Thank you for the report. You do mention in here that an off-leash dog park steering committee was established in 2012 and again reestablished in 2015, but no dog park was established. I'm just wondering, like, why didn't they go through last time? And why are we putting a lot more energy into something if, you know, what were the obstacles last time? And are they still there? Or, you know, are we going to be able to see something actually produced this time?
DBO Burrows.
Thank you, Councillor Bernetta, and through the chair. In my research into the previous committees, I wasn't able to find much information into the retirement of those committees. Now, I do know that there are some people around this room that were a part of those committees during that time, and I would request to just defer that question over to them for clarification, because I don't know the full reason why they were terminated or ceased.
I can speak to that because I was on those committees. A lot of effort was put into them, and the number one thing that they did was to identify potential dog parks. And then one of the requirements was that the pieces of property that were identified had water, running water. And some of them didn't. And as the potential properties got ruled out, it then became a cost that there wasn't an appetite to support at that time to establish running water. So that was the main reason, was there were criteria placed on what was needed for a dog park, and they weren't able to fulfill those criteria without a substantial cost. I noticed in this one, what seems different, and it wasn't in the first one, is that this one has fundraising attached to it, which may make a difference. Yes?
In terms of the terms of reference and the number of people on the committee, I noted that there is just one counselor rep and 4 members of the public. I'm just wondering if it would make more sense to have 2 members of council on the committee. It's a fairly tight timeline in terms of having some decision by the spring. So, you know, if one council member couldn't make it, I would hope that the second person could. Just a thought I had.
Councilors, are you amenable to having 2 councilors on that committee? Bearing in mind, we're going to need 2 of you to volunteer. I'm sensing yes, so can we just change the 1 to 2? Okay. You okay with that? Councilor Firth? Oh. Okay. Anything else? Yes, Councilor McTaggart?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wonder if the terms of reference could go further to include anticipated costs of running this particular park and who's going to maintain it.
Okay.
And how it's going to be maintained.
Is that a question or just a statement?
I would like that added to the terms of reference.
Okay, I'll go back to CBO Burrows. Any objection to that? Okay, getting the thumbs up. Anything else, councilors? These are all good suggestions. Okay, then with that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. No one is opposed. Thank you for that input, councilors. Okay, moving on to agenda item 12, Operations and Facilities Division Reports, 12.1. Don't seem to have. Okay. Yep. Thanks very much. So, recommendation reads, the council approval to report AR-25-0859 will agree with the recommendation of the administration to award tender 2025-OF-10 to Miller Environmental Corporation for the hosting of a hazardous and special products collection event in Fort Frances on September 13th, 2025. I think that was a little far in the future. And that an authorizing bylaw be brought forward to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the corporation later in this meeting. Can I get a mover and a seconder on that, please? Councillor McTaggart and Councillor Bernetta. Thank you. Any discussion, councillors? Councillor Morrison.
To the chair, when I first seen this and I seen the price, I was a little skeptical because I wasn't quite sure how much we had, but thanks to Manager Rob and Superintendent Miller here I talked to, in 2023, we had 16 tons of hazardous waste, 16 tons. It was 14,671 kilograms in 2024. 2023 was 12,442 kilograms, so it's a lot of environmental waste that we're keeping out of our landfills and out of our water system since we're surrounded by water. And I changed my mind, and I think it's a great idea.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Calling the question, all in favor? It's carried and no one was opposed. Twelve point two. Recommendation reads, the council approval of report AR-25-0858 will agree with the recommendation of administration to award tender 2025-05-09 to Bay City contractors for a total tender price of $4,157,103.59, including a $200,000 contingency allowance and the town's portion of HST, and that an authorizing bylaw be prepared for the mayor and clerk to execute the agreements on behalf of the corporation. Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Behan. Councillor Behan. Councillor Mackey. Discussion, councillors? Councillor McTaggart.
Thank you, Your Worship. I see that we have a contingency built in here. In general terms of jobs, how often do we go into the contingency? Is there a general rule of thumb?
Manager Rob?
Thank you, through the chair. It's a great question, and in a project like this, road reconstruction, where it is a unit price type of tender, we have instances where we have change orders where there's extra work that has to happen, or something material needs to change, and there's a cost impact to that. So in those instances, that fund is funded out of the contingency allowance. But in addition to that, on a unit price contract, we have estimates on how much granular A that we will need, for example. But we pay on how much actually gets used. We take away tickets throughout the project. So there's lots of opportunities through the project where material changes increase a bit, and those increases also are funded out of the contingency allowance. So that said, most, if not all, projects dip into the contingency in some capacity.
Thank you, Manager Rob. Follow up, Councillor McTaggart? Councillor Morrison?
To the chair. So how do you get waste scale slips, or how do they measure the actual amount of materials being used?
Manager Rob?
Thank you. Yeah, for all of our unit price contracts, any granular materials, asphalt, anything that's measured and paid per ton is all tracked with weight. Every truck gives us a weight ticket on how much material they bring.
Thank you. Further questions? Comments? Calling the question, all in favor? It's carried. Anyone opposed? Councillor McTaggart. That's carried. Okay, 12.3. Recommendation reads that council approval report AR-25-0870 will agree with the recommendation of administration to proceed with option 1 as detailed below, and that an authorizing bylaw be prepared for mayor and clerk to execute the agreements on behalf of the corporation. Can I get a mover and seconder for this one, please? Councillor Behan, Councillor McTaggart. Councillors, questions, comments? Councillor Behan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. I'm glad to see we got at least 3 bids this time. Unfortunately, of course, all of them are over budget. But at the same time, I agree with the report that says we really can't put this off. We have to do this. So I guess I'm agreeing with the recommendation to go with the one that's the least over budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Behan. Any further comments or questions? Okay, calling the question, all in favor? That's carried. No one was opposed. Okay, 12.4. We'll need to fill in a blank here after we've had our discussion. The council approval report AR-25-0869 will provide direction to administration to proceed with option blank as detailed below, and that council pass the required bylaws to execute the required agreements based on the selected option. So a mover and seconder to get this on the floor. Councillor Behan? Councillor Bernetta? Okay, questions, comments, councilors? Yes, Councilor.
Unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of time to look over the options. It was just sent to us today. So I feel a bit unprepared to make a decision today. I mean, if I had to make a decision, I think I'd probably go with option 2. The sad thing is, again, the budget numbers are just so much, or these are so much higher than what we budgeted for, and it's almost at the point where you have to determine, how valuable is this asset? Do we continue to put money into it? And yeah, I just feel like it's a no-win situation, unfortunately.
I'll just make the comment that councilors, if they're uncomfortable or feel that they didn't have enough time to study this, we could defer the motion to a subsequent council meeting. That's an option if you like. Do you want to?
Can I recommend that then?
Okay, so Councilor Bernetta is suggesting that we defer this to the next council meeting, and you're moving that?
Yes, please.
I need a seconder. Councilor Mackey seconds that motion. Any discussion on the deferral? Calling the question on the deferral, all in favor? Anyone opposed to the deferral? The deferral passes, so we'll discuss this at the next council meeting. Yeah, Councilor McTaggart?
Can I make a comment on this?
Yeah, you may.
Thank you. I wonder if another option may be, and administration can come back with a recommendation, but we repair the cradle that's in the river and put the halibut back in the river. And the pros and cons of doing that. And we put the Awandam where the halibut was going to go somehow. And we can maybe do it for a fraction of the cost, even if we have to bring a crane back in another time. It's going to be a way less than the projected costs. My other concern is our consultants are coming to us with costs on these projects, and they're all coming in well below what the tenders are coming in at. And we pay good money for the consultants, but they're off the mark in the actual costs, and it really concerns me that we're not getting what we I think should be.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor McTaggart. Moving on to bylaws. Recommendation reads that the following bylaws be introduced and read, finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, and sealed with the corporate seal, and become law forthwith. Bylaw 48-25, Bylaw 49-25, Bylaw 50-25, and Bylaw 81-24B. Can I get a mover and seconder on the bylaws, please? Councilor Firth, Councilor Bernetta. Any discussion on the bylaws? Calling the question, all in favor? Carried. Anyone opposed? Okay, that brings us to notice of motion / motion to reconsider. So 14.1 is a notice of motion by Councilor Morrison. Councilor Morrison, go ahead.
To the chair, I've been looking at the procurement, 10 bids and tenders thing, and I want to thank Manager Robb and Superintendent Miller. We had a good meeting a couple of weeks ago and just discussing their procurement policy. I'm not sure if everybody knew that. Well, I guess we got an email from the CEO. I believe right now, I think a membership fee is approximately $450 for every contractor who wants to have an annual membership in the bids and tenders website. And if somebody wants to do one bid, they have to pay approximately $150. Talking to Manager Robb, he let me know that I think it's approximately $3,400 of municipality pays, and then nobody else has to pay for any tenders. So if we paid $3,400 approximately, then anybody who wants to bid, say ABC Contracting, they can bid without having to pay $139 or the $450 yearly fee. I just think it's a good idea moving forward. If the town can eat that, if we have one bid, somebody doesn't have to spend 3 workers in a hotel for 2 weeks. it's going to pay for that $3,400 like a lower bid. So I think in that way we'll get it. It'll save us money in the end. I'd also like to see a list, procure a list of local contractors. So whenever we have a bid or a tender come out, that everybody get an email. Hey, we have this thing right now. Easton Hall needs dam proofing. You know, so everybody that's on this list will get it. So I'm just trying to make it easier for everybody to see that we have jobs out there. That might be one of the reasons why our bids are coming back so high, because people aren't seeing it. And I hear it all the time from contractors, and a lot of contractors aren't paying the money.
Thank you, Councilor Morrison. So this was for information only. The motion will be presented formally at the next meeting, moved, seconded, debated, and voted on then. Madam Clerk.
Through the chair, the notice of motion is to be read out loud at this meeting and voted on the next meeting.
Were you reading your notice of motion out loud? Or was that just a description? Clerk has a copy.
Okay. Whereas on May 3rd, 2023, Council received report AR 230259 from Mr. Craig Miller to subscribe to an online bids and tenders platform, an annual subscription whereby the bidders paid an annual or per bid subscription to utilize the services. Whereas we have seen success with the use of this program with increased numbers of bidders as well as good pricing for certain projects. Whereas we do not see a tremendous number of local bidders utilizing this program for some of the smaller jobs advertised. Whereas the cost of a subscription may be a barrier to smaller entities participating in municipal procurement activities. Whereas report AR 230259 outlined an option for the municipality to pay a higher annual fee, allowing bidders to submit bids for free. However, council chose to not proceed with that option at that time. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council direct administration to review the pricing options, to consider increasing the town's contributions, reducing the burden on the local contractors to bid on municipal jobs, and that administration provide an update report to council on pricing options before the end of the year, and the administration prepare a bidder's tip sheet to be included in all bidding activities, outlining submission requirements as well as short information statements to support smaller agencies to know and understand the requirements of their bid submissions.
Thanks, Councilor Morrison. Moving to 14.2, which is another notice of motion by Councilor Firth. You have yours handy?
Yep, thank you, Your Worship. Whereas an obstacle many employers face in recruitment of employees is related to housing, whereas the town of Fort Frances often has employment opportunities which go unfilled, and whereas 2 strategies to achieve the municipal services and infrastructure priority in the town of Fort Frances 2023 to 2027 strategic plan are to use creative means to attract or acquire labor resources, and that the town actively aims to be an organization that is supportive of its staff. And whereas the Ontario government has indicated housing as a priority of the province, therefore be it now resolved that council direct administration to bring back a report on staff housing, focusing on limiting recruitment barriers and sustainability efforts of attracting staff at different levels. And that this report includes research on potential grants, other potential partnerships with other area employers as well. And that this report be presented to council prior to the draft of the 2026 capital budget presentation.
Thank you, Councilor Firth. So again, these will be presented formally at the next meeting as resolutions to be debated, moved, seconded, and voted on. And that brings us then to our closed session. So I'll put a recommendation on the floor. The council meet in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to 1, disposition of town or Fort Frances recycled transfer station. That comes under 239-2C, a proposal or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. 2, a A personal update dealing with the fire department, again, comes under 239-2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. 3, sale of land, Aaron Crescent lot, comes under 239-2C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. And we are moving in camera at 6:49. I need a mover and seconder on that. Councillor Firth, Councillor Morrison, any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. No one was opposed. The items in closed session and then come back and report publicly. Okay, we're back in open session. Oh, oops. No, thank you. I thought he was slouched down in his chair. He's probably killing time.
I'll lock the door.
Okay, we're back in open session. Council dealt with 4 items in closed session, and there are recommendations coming on each of those, which we'll now deal with. On item 15.2, the recommendation is that council approval of report AR-25-0867 will agree with the recommendation of administration to undertake an appraisal of the town of Fort Francis recycle transfer station and site for disposition. Can I get a mover and seconder on that, please? That's Councillor Bernetta and Councillor Behan. Any further discussion on that one? Calling the question, all in favor? It's carried. No one was opposed. We received a report for information only. The recommendation reads that the council accept report AR-25-0871 titled Personnel Update, Fire Department for informational purposes only. Mover and seconder on that one. Councillor McTaggart, Councillor Morrison. Any further discussion on that one? Calling the question, all in favor? It's carried. Again, no one was opposed. We had a recommendation dealing with Aaron Crescent. The recommendation reads that council directs administration to finalize and process the sale of Aaron Crescent Lot 54, and that council authorizes the agreement of purchase and sale to be signed by the mayor and clerk, and that council direct administration to review the sale of town lands policy and bring back a revision for consideration of adoption by Q1 of 2026. Mover and seconder on that, please. Councillor Bernetta, Councillor Mackey. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. No one was opposed. And finally, out of closed session, we looked at our closed meeting minutes of July 14th. The recommendation reads that council approve the closed meeting minutes of July 14th, 2025 as presented. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Behan, Councillor Firth. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. No one was opposed. Brings us to a confirmatory bylaw with the recommendation on the floor that bylaw 51-25 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the corporation of the town of Fort Francis be introduced, read, and finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with a corporate seal, and become law forthwith. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Firth, Councillor Morrison. Any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. No one was opposed. Finally, that having reached the hour of
7:24.
Say again?
7:20.
7:24. This meeting of the council of the town of Fort Francis be now closed. Councillor McTaggart, Councillor Mackey. Calling the question, all in favor? That's carried. No one was opposed.